Theo Hartley here, your curious Brit abroad. This is The Wayfarer. Fancy a story? From the iconic to the unusual, we travel the globe collecting stories, food, culture, people, and places. Not just the facts you'd find in a travel guide, but the little tales that make a journey unforgettable. And at the end of each adventure, I'll leave you with one tip: how to collect a story as easily as a souvenir. Let's discover a story in every step. Today, we'll explore Denmark, a kingdom small in size, but vast in stories. The secret behind hygge? It's in the flicker of candles, the weight of a warm blanket, and the comfort of togetherness. But Denmark is so much more than cozy corners. It's the land of Vikings and fairy tales. Geographically, Denmark is a bridge between worlds, lying at the meeting point of the North Sea and the Baltic, with over 400 islands scattered like stepping stones between Scandinavia and mainland Europe. From these shores, Viking ships once launched into both seas, shaping history across Europe. Today, we will uncover what makes this little Nordic kingdom so extraordinary. Denmark's candle obsession. Danes burn around 6 kilograms of candle wax per person every year. Yes, per person. That's the weight of a big pumpkin turned into pure light. They didn't get this record by accident. Candles are instant hygge, living light that turns a winter night into something magical. Of course, scientists warn about indoor air quality, but Danes just shrug, light another candle, and call it balance. The word hygge comes from Old Norse hud, meaning mind or soul. Centuries later, in Danish, it became a word for comfort, joy, and protection. First recorded in the 18th century, but it truly bloomed as a national treasure in the 19th century. And then, around 2016, it exploded worldwide. The New Yorker called it Denmark's most successful export since Lego. If Britain copes with winter through tea, Denmark copes with candles. And maybe, just maybe, that's why they keep topping happiness charts. But Denmark is not all candles and coziness. This is Viking territory. Seafarers, traders, raiders, explorers. The Viking Age stretched from 793 to 1066, shaping Europe and reaching as far as the Middle East. Recent excavations near Odense unearthed 50 Viking skeletons, buried with brooches and glass beads, proof of a global trade network that linked Scandinavia to Byzantium and Baghdad. And here's a fun fact: Bluetooth technology is named after King Harald Bluetooth, who united the Danes. Look at the logo closely. It's a Viking bind rune for his initials, H and B. From wireless tech to warrior teeth, the Vikings left their mark in ways you'd never expect. Through centuries of shadow, the Danes learned a secret. Darkness is not endured, it is illuminated. Inspired to plan your Danish adventure? Let's start in Copenhagen, that reveals itself in chapters, and each one feels like stepping into a different storybook. Mehav, Copenhagen's 17th century harbour that once roared with sailors, ship bells, and seafaring tales. Today, it's a dance of colour and shadow. Rows of bright facades leaning over the canal, their reflections ripple like watercolours. Hans Christian Andersen once lived and wrote along this waterfront, so every cobblestone feels touched by a fairy tale. His stories are stitched into Denmark's soul, simple, timeless, and quietly profound. Here, The Princess and the Pea prove that even the smallest detail can reveal the truth. And The Little Mermaid still waits in Copenhagen's harbor, gazing toward a love she cannot reach. Tivoli Gardens, not just an amusement park, but the heartbeat of Danish joy since 1843. Walt Disney came here for inspiration, and you can see why. At night, lanterns shimmer, carousels whirl, and the air tastes of sugar and nostalgia. And then there's Christiania, a world of psychedelic murals, free spirits, and painted walls that hum with rebellion. Born in the 1970s as a social experiment, it's half art gallery, half utopia, and entirely Copenhagen. Of course, no adventure in Copenhagen is complete without a pause for coffee. And here, coffee isn't just fuel, it's culture. Order a hand-brewed filter or a silky cortado, and you'll taste why Danes drink more coffee per person than almost anyone else in the world. Of course, still a few cups shy of their Finnish neighbors, the undisputed champions of caffeine. And alongside it, a true Copenhagen bite, a warm, flaky kanelsnegg, the cinnamon swirl that locals claim tastes best on a rainy afternoon. Sweet, spiced, and unapologetically cozy. From here, we continue the journey, caffeine in our veins, sugar on our lips, and Copenhagen unfolding ahead. Palaces, canals, and stories that stretch from fairy tales to free towns. Amalienborg Palace wasn't built for kings at all, but for noble families. Only after a great fire in 1794 did the royals move in, and they've never left. Rosenborg, meanwhile, was Christian IV's Renaissance dream home. Today it guards the crown jewels like dragons once guarded treasure. And Christiansborg, austere and powerful, a palace where politics, courts, and royalty intersect in a way no other building in the world can claim. In Copenhagen, the crown doesn't just sit on heads, it's built into walls, rituals, and rooms. Reminders that Denmark's story is always a dance between tradition and modern life. And then there's Aarhus, Denmark's second city, but first in charm. At the top of the Aarhus Art Museum, you step into Olafur Eliasson's Your Rainbow Panorama, a circular walkway of glass that tints the entire city in shifting bands of color. One moment the world is red, the next it's violet, like strolling inside a prism with Aarhus at your feet. And just a short wander away, time bends the other way. The Gamle By, the old town, is an open-air museum where cobbled streets, timbered houses, and costuming actors bring centuries of Danish life back to life. One moment you're tasting modern art in rainbow glass. The next, you're trading stories in a 19th century bakery. Aarhus is proof that Denmark can hold the future in one hand and the past in the other, and never let either slip away. Danish life runs on something surprisingly rare these days: trust. Parents leave strollers, babies inside, outside cafes. Lost wallets are often returned. It's a society built on honesty. Beauty hides in simplicity, from bikes parked in the snow to candlelight reflected in windows. Happiness here isn't measured in medals or riches. It's measured in balance, in trust, in connection. Denmark is design royalty. Arne Jacobsen's chairs, Paul Henningson's lamps, Bang & Olufsen's speakers, all icons. These pieces don't just furnish a room, they tell a story. Adorning Danish homes for generations, they've long since traveled too, becoming quiet ambassadors of Nordic beauty in living rooms across the world. In Denmark, homes rarely use curtains. Why hide hygge when you can share the glow? So far, we've wandered Copenhagen's palaces and canals, climbed rainbows and Aarhus, and walked the fairy tale cobbles of Odense. But our journey's not done yet. There's more of Copenhagen to uncover, its flavors, its rhythm of daily life, before we sail further out. Come evening in Copenhagen, you might find yourself sitting at a long table with strangers and leaving as friends. It's called fællefæstning, communal dining. Food is more than nourishment. It's ritual, tradition, and taste all folded into rye and batter. Smørrebrød, the open-faced sandwich that's practically a national institution. Dense rye bread, layered with everything from pickled herring to roast beef, topped with remoulade, fish, eggs, herbs. Stegt flask med persillesauce, crispy pork belly with parsley sauce and potatoes. Often voted Denmark's national dish. For a true Danish snack, look for the red pølsevogn hot dog stands, sausages piled with remoulade, pickles, and crispy onions. The food is simple, hearty, affordable, and the point isn't just to eat, it's to connect. In Denmark, even dinner becomes a social experiment in belonging. And for all its coziness, Denmark is bold in its progress. The first country in the world to legalize same-sex unions back in 1989. Work is important, but life is sacred. In Denmark, the office empties on time. Evenings belong to families, and weekends are for community. The Danes don't live to work, they work to live. And somehow, it all just works. If work in Denmark ends on time, it's because life is waiting. Leisure here isn't a luxury, it's the rhythm of the week. First, the bicycle. Not a hobby really, but a way of being. 9 out of 10 Danes own one, and whether it's snow, rain, or wind off the Baltic, they ride. Children in cargo bikes, suited professionals, teenagers racing the sunset. Copenhagen is a ballet on 2 wheels. Then there's the great outdoors. Danes walk, sail, swim, and skate as if nature were an extension of their living room. Even winter isn't a deterrent. You'll find them plunging into icy seas, emerging with smiles and the conviction that it's healthy. For some, leisure means foraging, berries, mushrooms, herbs, or casting nets for herring off Bornholm. Bornholm, the Baltic's sunlit island. Denmark's sun-drenched outpost in the Baltic. Here, beaches glow gold at Duet, sand so fine it was once used in hourglasses. Fishing huts curl smoke into the air as herring is cured the old way, split, salted, and smoked over alderwood. Taste it on dark rye bread, and you'll understand why Bornholm is called the Sunshine Island. It's slower, softer here, and time seems to stretch just a little longer than anywhere else in Denmark. And then to Skagen, Denmark's northern tip, where the Baltic and the North Sea meet in restless embrace. Walk to Grennen, the sandy spit, where waves collide from east and west, foaming over each other like dueling dancers. The light here is legendary, pale, shimmering, almost liquid. Painters flocked here in the late 19th century, capturing it on canvas so brilliantly that Skagen became known as the Nordic Riviera. For Danish children, Grenland is a place of wonder. To stand barefoot at the point where two seas meet, one wave lapping from the east, another from the west, is almost magic. Schools bring them here on trips, teaching not only geography, but awe, how a horizon can be both an ending and a beginning. One of the most remarkable things about Danish children isn't what they study, it's what they become. From the age of 6, children spend an hour each week in klassens tid, or class time, not for maths, not for science, but for kindness. There, in circles of classmates, they talk about feelings, or simply hygge together, when nothing's wrong, but everything feels shared. It's no wonder it consistently ranks among the world's happiest nations, not because life here is perfect, but because it's designed to feel human. Emotional well-being isn't an afterthought. It's the architecture of their society. And if you look closely in Denmark, you'll notice another thread that runs quietly through life: knitting. It isn't just craft here, it's culture. From thick woolen jumpers patterned with Nordic stars, to scarves knit in candlelight, Danes have long kept warm by hand and tradition. Knitting circles are common. Yarn shops spill with color, and grandmothers pass patterns down like fairy tales. It's hygge in stitches, patience, warmth, and story woven into every loop. Denmark isn't a place you just visit, it's a place you collect. To be a traveler here is to move a little slower, to look for stories as carefully as souvenirs. Order coffee with locals in a corner cafe. When you taste smørrebrød, notice the balance: sour pickles, creamy sauce, dense rye. It's a mirror of Danish life itself. And when you hear a fairy tale by Andersen, carry it with you the way the Danes carry hygge, quietly, in the background, always ready to warm. The secret is simple. Don't collect check-ins, collect moments. A smile from a cyclist passing in the rain, a candle burning in a window, a hot dog eaten on a cold street corner. That's Denmark, not just the land of Vikings and design, but a kingdom of stories, waiting for you to take one home.